Hi guys, and welcome to my Not the Covent Garden tour. Why have I called it Not the Covent Garden tour? It's because we are skirting around Covent Garden. So we won't be going into the piazza, but there's an awful lot of interesting things for me to show you, locations and sites. I hope you're going to enjoy this. Please subscribe, please ring that bell and follow me for more tours, fascinating tours on London, lots of fun facts, from short videos to these tours, these personal tours, and a lot more besides. So I hope you're going to enjoy it, guys. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And without further ado, we are going to set off. Just to give you a little introduction, my name is Gary from Gary on London. I am a tour guide, I am an actor, I am a teacher. I teach drama and theatre in London and in Italy too. And this year it hasn't been much of it because of you know what. So I've decided to film a lot of my tours, and if you go to my website, garyonlondon.com/online-tours, you will find some themed virtual tours if you would like to purchase any and help me out. Otherwise, just sit back, have a drink and enjoy the tour. And I'll start off, guys, by showing you exactly where we are. So just to give you your bearings, guys, in this direction it's about 5 minutes, less than that, from Tottenham Court Road tube station. That's St Giles Spire in the distance. If you travel this way, you end up again about 5 minutes and you arrive at Holborn Station. There's the wonderful Shaftesbury Theatre where And Juliet the musical is on, will be on, was on. And actually, just a little personal story, there's the Oasis Sports Centre, that grey building, my gym, which has 2 swimming pools, an outdoor swimming pool and an indoor swimming pool, and it's very cheap too. But we are going this way. We're going just a little bit along Shaftesbury Avenue and then into the alleyways and narrow cobbled streets of Covent Garden. But if you do continue down Shaftesbury Avenue, you will end up in Piccadilly Circus. Okay, let's go. So on Shaftesbury Avenue you find the Cult Entertainment's megastore, the Forbidden Planet. So if you're a fan of fantasy, horror, comics, manga, anything from The Walking Dead to Doctor Who to Star Trek to Star Wars and everything in between, you will have a fun time here. It's I believe the largest and most popular store of the kind in the world, and they also have a lot of book signings here too. But we're going to leave busy Shaftesbury Avenue and I want to take you down Monmouth Street. Remember, this tour is all about the back streets and not the busy streets and not Covent Garden. So this is Monmouth Street in the Seven Dials district of London. Quiet cobblestone street named after the Earl of Monmouth. But in the 18th, 19th centuries it was very popular with old clothes shops actually. I'm going to show you a couple of hotels. The first is the wonderful Hotel Chocolat. Oh man, if you love chocolate, you have got to come here. And the second is the Covent Garden Hotel. Now this building, the Covent Garden Hotel, doesn't even tell you it's the Covent Garden Hotel. It's that exclusive, but it's a 5-star hotel, and it has 58 bedrooms and a private screening room to show films. I've been here, not to the screening room, but I was here for a friend's birthday party in a private dining room. Very grand indeed. Now, I believe it was originally a hospital, a French hospital. If you look there, it says Dispensaire Français, which leads me to believe that. Notable guests have included Courtney Love, Kiefer Sutherland, you know, Jack Bauer from 24, Kate Winslet, Meryl Streep, Peter Jackson, going back to Cult Entertainment there, as well as Scarlett Johansson. Now, Scarlett Johansson was here when they filmed Match Points, the Woody Allen, there you go, Covent Garden Hotel, the Woody Allen movie set in London, and they use the hotel's exterior and interiors in that film. Now there's a coffee shop over here called the Monmouth Coffee Company. Now to me it's one of the best coffee shops in London, but not to eat inside. I'm rather pleased they have all these tables outside at the moment, because inside, if you have a coffee, you meet someone inside, it's rather cramped, but if you want to take a coffee away, it is incredible stuff. We don't have time for a coffee. We are going into the exceptional Neal's Yard. So guys, Neal's Yard is one of the hidden gems in London, one of my favourite courtyards. But just before we go in, at the entrance on this side is this street art depicting Princess Diana as Mary Poppins, and she's carrying a Harrods bag, and they're her grandchildren, Princess Charlotte and Prince George, and it's by the street artist Bambi. And a lovely little quote at the side: "You can be as naughty as you want, just don't get caught." Now, does that apply to Princess Diana, or maybe even Prince George, or does it apply to us all in general? Anyway, let's go into Neal's Yard. As I said, a hidden gem, one of my favourite London courtyards. I used to actually have trouble finding it. What can I say about it? It's a bit bohemian, it's otherworldly, it's offbeat, it's full of health food cafes and health shops. I love coming here to have a glass of wine or something to eat. Now just look at this, Hair by Fairy. That sort of sets it up, doesn't it? So colourful here too. Walking back rub. Just look at this. Wonderful. You know what, it reminds me more of Amsterdam than London. Just show you around. Now up here there's a blue plaque in the centre of those two windows, a blue plaque to Monty Python. Now originally I thought, no, it can't be the Monty Python comedy team, but it is. It's dedicated to the cast of Monty Python, because I believe that they actually recorded some footage here, some for their feature films or for Monty Python's Flying Circus, in a studio here. No longer here, I don't think, but that's where it was. Now they changed comedy, in my opinion. They say that their comedy, their influence on comedy, can be compared to the Beatles' influence on music. So it all happened here in Neal's Yard. No time to stop here at the moment, guys. Let's go through. Because onto the other side there's a Neal's Yard Dairy, which I will just show you briefly. Along there to the end of this road is Seven Dials. Seven Dials has 7 roads leading off it, but we won't go there today. We'll save that for another time. So this is Neal's Yard Dairy, and as it says, farm cheese and produce from the British Isles. Really rather tasty stuff. High quality cheese, actually, prepared and cut by professional cheesemongers. Okay, that's enough of cheese. I wish you could smell what was going on here. If you like cheese, I think you'd appreciate that. Okay, down to Endell Street. So at the end of Short's Gardens, we have probably the best fish and chip restaurant in London, and it's this rock and soul place. How clever is that, to get 3 fish in the name of the shop. Original fish and chips. If you don't know, a rock is a rock eel or a rock salmon. Sole as in Dover sole, place as in the flatfish, the place. And it's been here since 1871. And there's a plaque here. It's called the 3 Pillars, and it's dedicated to the 3 ladies, it says, who taught us how to cook fish and chips. And they were Anna and Rachel, 2 sisters who lived above the shop, and it was their late father that ran the shop in the 20s till 1968. Then these ladies actually took the time and the dedication to pass on their father's knowledge to us, and this is why they dedicate that plaque to them. So that's Rock and Soul Place, guys. Been here since 1871, excuse me. As it says there, just proper fish and chips. So we're going to walk down Endell Street. I want to show you another beautiful pub. You're going to see quite a few pubs on this tour. And then I want to show you a rather wonderful vintage shop. I'll tell you a little bit about this street.
I'd love to think that.
So this pub we're approaching now is called the Cross Keys. That's the Cross Keys of St. Peter, the first Pope. And it's a charming little pub. It's one of the most beautiful exteriors. It always has flowers adorning it, usually a lot more, but as you see, it's closed at the moment. It's absolutely charming pub. Inside it's quite dark. It was established in 1848 with inside is a bit of an Aladdin's cave, actually. There's Beatles memorabilia in there, as well as antique clocks and paintings, and a cricket bat signed by Don Bradman, and also a napkin, although I've never seen it, signed by Elvis Presley. Now, I don't think any of these people were here, but I think the landlord or the owner was a big fan and went to a lot of auctions and got a lot of this memorabilia. The Cross Keys, remember that one. So as you walk up Endell Street, this building across the road here used to be a hospital, and there were 2 nurses, 2 doctors actually, and they were suffragettes also. And the names were Louise Garrett Anderson and Flora Murray. They set up this hospital in a warehouse for injured servicemen from the First World War. They met with many obstacles, mostly from military chiefs, of course, who doubted women could ever run such an establishment. I mean, had they never heard of Florence Nightingale or Mary Seacole? And it was hailed as a complete success after 5 years. 26,000 patients were treated here, and 7,000 procedures took place here. So that's quite an achievement. Now, Endell Street, if we're going back to the 18th, 19th century, this was all part of the St. Giles district, known as the Rookeries. Love this shop, by the way, guys. Buddha on a bicycle, crystals, yoga, gifts, that kind of thing. Oh God, lovely incense as you pass that. Yeah, Endell Street was part of the Rookeries, a very bad area of town, crime-ridden and very violent. So you wouldn't travel down here. Now, of course, it's all very gentrified. And the slums were cleared away to create this street. Okay, a little detour into Shelton Street, because if you do love vintage clothes and you are in London, we do have a lot of vintage shops, but this is one of the largest, one of the best in my opinion, and it's called Rocket. So who likes vintage clothes? It was actually started life as a market stall in Camden Market, if you know Camden Market, and is now one of the leading vintage shops in the UK. I'll go a little bit closer. So a vintage shop means it's clothes from the 60s, 70s and 80s. feel the sixes? There's music playing, I hope you heard that. Okay, back into Endell Street, and we are on our way to the... it's a surprise. I'll tell you when we get there. But guys, just while we're walking and talking, remember, subscribe, please. Hit that button and that bell for more of the same. More videos of London, more shorts, videos of London, fascinating fun fact videos. And take a look at the website, garyonlondon.com/online-tours. Let me show you a rather wonderful statue. It's by the sculptor Enzo Plazzotta, and it's a ballet dancer. Isn't it beautiful? It looks like she's preparing for her performance. Enzo Plazzotta was an Italian-British sculptor that spent most of his time here. And it's rather appropriate that it's here because it stands opposite the magnificent Royal Opera House, home to the Royal Opera and the Royal Ballet. Just before we talk about that, I want to show you this. Bow Street's Magistrate Court, but not the Magistrates Courts anymore, but a luxury hotel. But it was here that I believe Henry Fielding was a magistrate, and it was here that the Bow Street Runners were formed. They were kind of the first private police force in London, long before the Metropolitan Police came along. Let's talk about the Royal Opera House. Magnificent. So the first theatre to open here was back in 1732, and Handel composed for it. This is in fact the third theatre, and there were two disastrous fires in 1808 and 1856. This facade was built in 1858, but most of the inside dates from the 1990s. There was a large refurbishment down to lottery money. Now it seats 2,256 people on 4 levels, and it is the third largest theatre in London. So over here is the Floral Hall, and beside that is another theatre, the Limbury Theatre, where you can see performances. Small theatre, I think it contains about 200 seats. The Floral Hall is used now for people to meet, have a drink, eat before they go to the opera. And just a little idea for you, if you are in London, you want somewhere unusual to go for a drink. I mean, sometimes these places seem a little bit forbidding, but you can go in and there's a bar, go up the escalators, there's a bar at the top, the balcony, on the balcony. You can overlook Covent Garden, not even see any opera or ballet, but it's a wonderful place to go. This, of course, this Floral Hall was originally for Covent Garden's fruit, vegetable and flower market. So a couple of stories about the Royal Opera House. When the manager John Philip Kemble raised ticket prices to recoup some money from the early 19th century, the audience were furious, and they disrupted many performances by beating sticks and booing and hissing, and this lasted for 2 months before management finally gave in. And it wasn't only opera here, guys. There was also pantomime. The great legendary clown Joseph Grimaldi often played here, and there was also a lot of Shakespeare with some of the greatest Shakespearean actors of the time. Now in World War II, the Royal Opera House became a dance hall. So I have a personal story about this place too. I've actually performed here. Before you think I sang an aria on the famous stage, that wasn't the case. I was actually a film extra in the movie The Fifth Element, which was directed by Luc Besson and starred Bruce Willis, Ian Holm, Gary Oldman and Mila Jovovich. And I was dressed head to toes in Jean-Paul Gaultier outfit, as were the rest of the audience. The security was very strict on this, obviously. They didn't want you stealing any of the clothes at the end of the day, so there was a lot of security as you changed back into your regular clothes. But what happened was we were seated in the auditorium, and the filming took 4 days to complete. If you've seen the movie, you'll know that the blue alien was singing some mesmeric aria on the stage. Now, I believe she was the wife of the director Luc Besson. And then suddenly the Mangalores, these aliens, invaded and started shooting up the place and took us hostage. So me and a few others then went back to Pinewood Studios to film for 4 days. And Bruce Willis then came and rescued us. Lots of explosions, etc. But we were safe thanks to Bruce. Now, the reason why I think they shot it here, why they were allowed to shoot it here, was because it was about to go under refurbishment and renovation. So it didn't matter what sort of mess they made there. And oh boy, they did make a mess. It looked like a wreck at the end of the shoot. Anyway, that's my personal story of the Royal Opera House. We're on Floral Street now, and I'd like to show you a plaque that people would normally pass by. It's not even one of the blue plaques, so people don't notice it above the menu of Masala Zone. But it's a plaque, and it's dedicated to Pablo Picasso, who painted the backdrop for Diaghilev's production of Massine's ballet Le Tricorne in 1919. So I guess this building would have originally been part of the Royal Opera House, where they would have worked, a workshop for scenery. And it's in a rather now it's a wonderful Indian restaurant called Masala Zone. Always impressed with this because of the puppets, the marionettes above. I know you're just getting reflections really, but hopefully you can see something. So basically you eat, and all through the interior you will see these marionettes. And now it's time for something special again. Have a look up. Now this is the Aspiration Bridge, which was opened in 2003, and it links the Royal Ballet School over here to the Royal Opera House. I love it. It kind of reminds me of the spine of a ballet dancer in motion. Guys, don't you just get the impression, how big is the Royal Opera House? So we just saw the front of it, but it is vast. Okay, let's continue down Floral Street. So on the corner here is the Nag's Head pub, and there's actually been a pub called the Nag's Head on this spot since 1670. But the building dates from 1900. There you go. A nag, a horse, if you don't know what a nag is. Actually, I've just seen there's the nag actually over the front door. Okay, now back when Covent Garden was a fruit and vegetable market, this pub would open at 5 AM to serve the market workers breakfast, and I'm sure they would have a pint with their breakfast as well. Now I remember being here once and there was a python inside. Now that's not a Monty Python, that was a snake, the python. And yeah, I don't know if it belonged to the landlord or to a customer, but I never saw it after that, just that one time. But yeah, it was quite a moment. On the other side of James Street is another old pub, the White Lion, rebuilt in 1888, and the White Lion is a symbol for King Edward IV. So it's the heraldic symbol of King Edward IV. I've eaten here too. They do some great fish and chips. But guys, we'll follow Floral Court. Okay, down the other side of Floral Court on the cobblestones, and a lot of expensive men's shops here, like Paul Smith on this side, Ted Baker on the other side. A couple of other interesting buildings to show you. In the distance, there is a shop which is the official merchandise shop of Tintin. Remember the cartoon, the comic book character Tintin, also made into a film by Steven Spielberg. It's closed at the moment, but I thought you might like to see it. There you go. Any Tintin fans, the Tintin shop. On the other side of the street where it says Kent and Kerwin, now this used to be a rather luxurious gym and spa sports centre, and it was here they filmed part of The Stud, starring Joan Collins, and the book was originally written by her sister Jackie Collins. See, it dates from 1860, this building. I think it used to be a church. So let's carry on down Floral Street to one of the most atmospheric pubs in London. So now prepare yourself for one of my favourite pubs, one of the most atmospheric pubs in London, in Lazenby Court, the Lamb and Flag. So as we go down this alleyway, you are going to bend your heads with me. And bend now. Look at that gas lamp. I'll turn around and I'll show you the Lamb and Flag. There you go, guys. Dates from the early 18th century and became a pub in 1772. It's really atmospheric inside, as I mentioned. Now the Lamb and Flag, the symbol, it's a symbol of the Templars, the Middle Temple. And Dickens used to come here and he wrote about the area's poverty. And John Dryden, the poet, was badly beaten up in this alley when he slandered Louise de Keroualle, the French mistress of King Charles II, one of his many mistresses. Now, he was really badly beaten up. He was at death's door, but he did survive. And the upstairs room was known for bare knuckle fights, and the pub had the nickname, still does, the Bucket of Blood. Used to have fights outside here, still do, on some Friday, Saturday nights, and the blood would trickle down cobblestones to the end of the street. This is fast turning into a pub tour. Take a look at my historical pub tour on my website, garyanlondon.com/online-tours. There's a great historical pub tour there. But this is another pub, the Roundhouse. It was called the Petters Hotel, and it's called the Roundhouse because it's on a corner and it does what it says on the tin. It's round. But this tree is really rather special. It was planted here. It's called the Anne Frank tree, and it was planted here as an inspiration to millions around the world, because Anne Frank, of course, her life warns us of the dangers of intolerance. And the tree is dedicated as a place to reflect on all the children who have died owing to wars. It was planted by the actress Hannah Gordon and dedicated by the actor Sir Ben Kingsley, Gandhi, of course. As we go into New Row here, I'm going to show you something very special for any Harry Potter fans. Just before we see that, another pub called the White Swan, and it has a lot of character and intrigue, this pub. It's in the heart of London's theatre land, and its narrowness sort of contrasts with the grandness of the nearby Covent Garden piazza, and it's no wonder that the writer Dorothy L. Sayers chose the White Swan for part of her Lord Peter Wimsey novel The Murder Must Advertise. I think it's got a lot of cricket memorabilia inside as well, if I remember. And of course you can get your traditional fish and chips. Take a look at this barber shop, Peter's Barber Shop, established in 1976. Now have a look at the pole. Not sure if you know this, guys, but outside most barber shops you will have a pole with a red and white stripes down the pole. Now, anyone know what that means? It actually means back in earlier times, barbers were known as barber surgeons, and they could do minor surgery, in fact. So the red represents the blood and the white the bandages. Okay, that's why the barber pole is the red and white symbol. So guys, now for something special for Harry Potter fans. We're going into Godwin's Court. I feel like I should hum the Harry Potter theme at the moment. Because Godwin's Court was the inspiration for Diagon Alley in Harry Potter. Not this side, but this side. What do you think? Look, even Hogwarts in the window.
Thank you, see ya.
Now I know a lot of these buildings are the offices of theatrical agents. Now they used to be, I can see it now. Hedwig is here. Harry's owl. Gives it a little bit of authenticity, don't you think? So let's look back on what was the inspiration for Diagon Alley. Remember, they couldn't shoot down here, it would be impossible, but I think you'll agree it certainly does resemble that famous alley. Now we're going out into St. Martin's Lane. In the distance there you can see St. Martin in the Fields, and the building with the ball on the top is the Colosseum, the opera house for English National Opera. And we're going to St. Martin's Court over here, but a couple of things I want to show you. First, now the beautiful theatre, the Noel Coward Theatre. Used to be called the Albury Theatre, and I've seen a few wonderful productions here. Just one of the most recent productions I saw was The Inheritance. It was a two-part play, absolutely incredible night at the theatre. I've seen Night of the Iguana here with Clive Owen, and also the musical Half a Sixpence, as well as a lot more. And on the opposite side of the alleyway is the Salisbury Pub. Now the Salisbury Pub dates from 1899, and it's named after this man up here, Lord Salisbury, who was Prime Minister 3 times between 1885 and 1902. Has stunning interior and lovely etched and polished glass. You can see an example here with carved woodwork inside, and there are Art Nouveau bronze nymphs holding long-stemmed flowers containing light bulbs. Here's a couple of nymphs up here. It used to be called the Ben Comte. Now, Ben Comte was a boxer, a bare knuckle fighter, another one of those, and he was so famous during Queen Victoria's reign in the 1850s, 1860s, that they believe that Big Ben itself, the bell in the famous clock tower, was named after him. But this pub is more than just that. It's been a gay-friendly pub since the time of Oscar Wilde. So part of the 1961 movie Victim was shot here, both inside and outside. It starred Dirk Bogarde, and it was the first English language film actually which used the word homosexual. Now, in 1979, the notorious serial killer Dennis Nielsen met a Hong Kong student here called Andrew Ho in the pub, and then took him home and attempted to murder him. Now, Ho went to the police and Nielsen was questioned, but Ho didn't testify, so nothing happened. And Nielsen went on to kill another 14 young men. So as we travel up St Martin's Court, oh, what a pity! Can't see inside, but at the top there you can see it says J Shiki. Now, it's a wonderful fish and oyster restaurant. It's been here since 1896. Now, originally a storeholder in 1896, Joseph Shiki, he sold fish here, and he was given permission to do this by Lord Salisbury, the Prime Minister, as long as he provided Lord Salisbury with fish meals for his dinner parties. I guess cronyism has always been with us, my friends. Now, being in the heart of Theatreland, I'll talk about this in a moment, you would see a lot of actors, actresses, performers here after their shows in the West End. I remember once seeing Damian Lewis and the late, great Helen McCrory here. What a pity, guys. Such a wonderful actress. Died fairly recently, and just a couple of weeks ago. So sad. Brilliant on stage as well as in Peaky Blinders, of course. So guys, I love this bridge which goes from the Noel Coward Theatre over this alleyway to the Wyndham's Theatre, and don't know quite why it's there. I always think it'd be a great joke to play on the audiences in both theatres if the production in the Coward Theatre over here at the interval change with the production at the Wyndham's Theatre over here. That would be a laugh. The audiences wouldn't know what to expect. They think they'd come to a different show. Anyway, so they use this bridge for what, I don't know. Maybe just to see their pals in the other theatre. So guys, we're going to finish here. Thank you for joining me on this tour. Remember to subscribe and hit that bell, and you'll get more of these tours. Have a great day. We are back in Leicester Square. See you guys.